It's your friend Jen Loren. Welcome to Muses and Bruises podcast. This podcast is an audio creative journal where I share my creative experiences and projects and the progress there. And I introduce you to creatives in my general community that I know, that you may know, and I would like you to know as well. The first guest I have today is a near and dear friend to me, mostly a sister, really. And through each of these episodes, we are going to have an energetic theme. As you can see, we're both wearing green. Today's chakra is the heart chakra, and the sense associated with the heart chakra is touch. And the guest that we have today goes by the Green Goddess Diary on all of the socials, so you can find her there. She goes by the Green Goddess Diaries, but her name is Anuela Alexandre. So I'm going to have her go ahead and introduce herself to you all and tell us your name and what you do.
Hello. Thank you, first and foremost, to you, my beautiful sister, for having me on your podcast. I'm such a huge fan. To everyone who may not know me, my name is Anuela Alexandre, and I do go by the Green Goddess Diary on Instagram. And I guess what I do is create green spaces. Not, I guess, I really create green spaces. I create green communities. I'm passionate about creating access in communities that lack access to green spaces. So I partner with urban farms. I create installations and events and all sorts of workshops and educational programming to connect communities, people, individuals to nature. I'm really, really passionate about sustainability and, just sustainably living a life, what I put into my body, how I interact with the world around me. And yeah, that's all of the things.
Yes, a mouthful. I'm so
Yeah.
glad that you touch on all those points, and we're going to get more in depth about all of those things. But first things first, I always like to open the guest podcast with the question, what is your first creative memory?
Oh man. Okay, so my first creative memory actually dates all the way back to like the 90s. I think I was maybe at 4 or 5 years old, and I was living in Haiti. I'm born and raised in Haiti up until I was 8 and a half. So I remember our very first, I must have been younger because I think this is probably around 3 years old then. I remember we lived in a shack on the beach. I'm from a small little town called Akaya in Haiti. And our first home that I remember living in was like a mud home with like, a tall roof, like very poor, I guess, but also free. Very, very free because we did not have rent or taxes or anything.
Amen.
And I remember I would make like clay, like these sort of like mud, clay, pottery, sort of like like a dresser looking thing, so I can put my little seashells that I collected like on top of them,
Wow.
and I made that all on my own. So that's like the first memory that I have. Other memories, I remember, being a real stickler for individuality when I was an emo teenager.
Yeah.
In like high school, and I remember sewing, going to the store, getting like fabric and like making my own clothes because I didn't want anyone to look like me.
Okay. Here for that
Yeah.
authenticity and
Yeah.
individuality.
Yeah.
I love that. So definitely, I've never heard the story about the mud furniture you made, the
Yeah.
ceramics
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
That's really cool, especially considering the reason behind it, the efficiency and wanting to put these special things that you would find from the
Yeah.
beach and give it a home. Now, let's bridge the gap and talk about how you came to start to create green spaces. That's the main point, usually, when you talk about what you do and the thread of everything, because there's a lot of aspects to it. Tell me where the passion came from.
I think the passion was really born from growing up on the island, and I come from a long line of farmers. I But after we moved from the beach hut house or whatever, we lived on a farm, and my grandmother is a farmer, my uncles, my aunts, we grew banan, which is green plantains. Where I'm from, Akaya is known to be the place where most of Haiti's green plantains come from, where there's a
Beautiful.
lot of green plantain farmers there. So I grew up always with sort of a passion for the land, a love for the land, and my animals, my horses, my donkeys, my goat, which, did turn out to be dinner one day. But I
RIP,
will,
but
yeah,
thank you for the
RIP.
nourishment.
Yeah. So that's really the foundation of my love for growing things. I don't remember a time in my life when I was, like younger on that island where I wasn't surrounded by things that were actively growing. I really ate by seasons. I really understood like how important it was to play a role in like the things that were growing around me and
Hmm.
how they were going to like nourish me and my
Beautiful.
community.
And so, what was the catalyst to get you to bring your love for that and the way that you were raised in Haiti to present day, or when you started to do that as a business or even, a community venture?
Yeah, a few things actually. First and foremost is my beautiful sunshine, Liam. I became a
Hi,
mommy.
Liam. I'm sure he's going to watch
Yeah, he's
this.
gonna watch this and he's going to be like, "Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed," but I don't care. My son, when I became a mom, I something in me just really shifted because for a really long time I did lose touch with that side of myself, as every one of us who is like an immigrant, first generation immigrant, we know that our our dreams are really I guess made out for us by our parents. We don't
Hmm.
really get to dream for ourselves. It's either you go to school and you become a nurse, doctor, engineer, or whatever. And those were my dreams for a really long time. So I wasn't thinking like, oh, I could do something outside of that. Even art. I mean, I went to an art school and I've always been like, very much into the art world, but I never saw it like as a reality that I could actually live. So having been detached from that world for a really long time, I didn't really start thinking about being, I didn't really feel the calling to participate in that until I started thinking about like creating a sustainable life for my son and I. It really mattered to me like what he ate
Hmm.
and how we lived and what I was teaching him, and just like I really wanted to create a foundation that I could be proud of and that would sustain him
Hmm.
essentially. I also worked as a behavioral health counselor for a while, and I saw the effects of being away from nature, not having a relationship with nature, not having a relationship with the way kids kids not having a relationship with the way that they nourish their bodies, not really understanding where real food came from or how important consuming real foods are for our mental, physical, and like emotional well-being. And it just changed something in me. And when I stopped doing that work and, I was looking for something else to do, I remember I was on vacation once. Oh my gosh, it's so crazy how God works, because I remember I went back for a summer to counsel, and I was taking a walk down the street and I stopped dead in my tracks and I was like, oh my gosh, I know what I'm supposed to do. I know what my next steps are. And I came back home and I started a green community. And since then, I've been doing that. Yeah.
Wonderful. I love how serendipitous and miraculous that story is, especially just like, getting that download from a higher power, from God, from your higher self, whichever, and taking immediate action. That takes a lot of courage. So kudos to you. Look at where we are now.
Yeah.
Amazing. And so you mentioned that you started out with a green community. Tell people what a green community is and what, it does.
Yeah. A green community is my nonprofit. And what we do is we connect communities to nature with a focus on underserved communities and children, really. So I started off working with the school board and Title I schools. We would go and we would build gardens, and I would build a gardening curriculum that we would then teach to the aftercare children. So it was an aftercare program that I created. The first school that we worked with was Berkshire Elementary School. Actually, no, the first school that I worked with was For the Love of Learning in Stewart. That's a private school that actually had its own farm. And I remember, just the kids would get bussed out to me and I would teach them, and it was the time of my life. I loved it so much.
Right.
I loved it so much. And when I moved away from that area, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's supposed to be on silent. I'm so sorry. Give me like 2 seconds. Okay.
Talking about the farm that the kids would get bussed out to.
So, right. And working at that farm, working at For the Love of Learning was really the time of my life. I remember the kids would get bussed out to me, and I taught K through 12, because this was a K through 12 school. So, from like 5 years old to like 17 years old.
Whoa,
and
big
it
gap.
was it was a challenge, but I was used to being around, kids of different ages, and I'm really good with them. So it was just like, it was easy, but it was hard because we also had farm animals. We had like horses and pigs and sheep and chickens, lots of chickens. So after I, parted ways with For the Love of Learning, I started working with the school board here, the Palm Beach County School Board, building gardens, teaching at the school. And that's really when a green community started to gain a lot of traction. I remember someone from the higher up. No, actually, what really gave me traction was a story that Wilkin Brutus, my dear friend, dear friend, we love him so much. He saw the potential and impact that this would have in schools, and he reached out and did a story. And from there, WPTV reached out and did a story, and then from there, the school board, someone from I don't know, a director or something reached out, came to the school, sat in on one of my classes and loved it, and was like, hey, I want you to do this at all of the Title I schools. We want contracts, like let's sign some contracts. And I moved to Palm Beach Gardens with that. That was right before the pandemic hit. I packed my things from Port St. Lucie and I moved down to Palm Beach Gardens, getting ready to sign all of these amazing contracts. And then the pandemic hit. And it never happened. It never really came to fruition. And I found myself having to pivot, you
Talk
know?
about that pivot.
Yeah, the pivot, you saw it personally because, you've always been with me, but the pivot was hard because a couple days after I moved into my apartment, I also got into a really horrible car accident that had me in bed for like 6 months. I really couldn't move my body, and I'm a really body oriented person. I'm a really physical person. I love to just like be out, be active. Yeah, it was hell. So I couldn't use my body. I couldn't really do the thing that I thought I was going to do. And I was devastated, but there was an accelerator program going on. So I applied and I got in. And through that accelerator program, I was able to pivot my mindset from, okay, I'm only going to work with the school board to how else can I generate income with a green community. And I came up with workshops. And I started, just drafting these workshops, these educational workshops. And then I pitched them. And started working with the Mendel Public Library, Rohi's Readery, of course, Westgate Community Farm, which has been like a longstanding partner of mine. Really, anywhere I could, I would do it. One World Zero Waste. Anywhere I could do a workshop, I would do them, and people would just fill the seats. It was incredible. I did adult workshops. I did kid workshops. Anything I could, anywhere, that would welcome me. I was doing 2 to 3 workshops a week, and it was incredible until I burnt out. Because there's also the side of content creation, right? So that's how I was marketing all of the stuff that I was doing, was through my social media. There was no big resume or anything like that. It was just showing people, being active and showing people what I was about and what I was doing. So creating the content, creating the workshops, felicitating the workshops, sourcing the materials, making all of the promotional content. It was just a lot. And for a while, I felt like, I really just had to stop. Thank goodness I wisened up and hired someone.
Well, before we get there, I kind of want to talk about burnout and what that felt like for you.
Yeah.
How did you know it was burnout? Is it something that was mindful, or did your body just sit you down? Also, like you just mentioned hiring someone finally, where did that trust for, you being ready and the business being ready for a new person besides yourself?
That's a lot of questions. Yeah.
It
okay.
is.
So I'm going
Sorry.
to try to answer them in order. Okay. So I knew I was burnt out when my creativity fizzled out. I knew I was burnt out when my creativity fizzled out. I have always felt like I had an endless well of energy and creativity. Like, I've never really understood where that came from. I'm just a naturally energetic person. I used to wake up bouncing out of bed, ready to go and do the things. And one day I just wasn't. I just wasn't bouncing out of bed and ready to go do the things. And I couldn't think of how to market something, or I would want to do a workshop, but like I just could not do it. And I also kind of went through I guess it was a deep depression where I just could not really get out of bed at all. And that's also a part of burnout that I think people don't really talk about,
Right.
like you don't just lose your creativity and your will to do the things and your passion. You also are super tired.
Yeah.
You're also just like feeling a lot of shame for being super tired and not doing the things. And then you're stuck in this cycle, this repetitive cycle of shame and tiredness and, wanting to do something, can't do it because you're so tired. And then it just never ends, and I'm so happy to be out of that now. But it was a crazy time. But something also like really traumatic happened that I haven't really talked about publicly, and that was getting burned in the business world.
Right.
I was asked to be a co-founder of a co-working space called 490 Park by my good friend Saida, and I joined her and her sister in this venture, and we had a investor, and we did this project. They asked me to be the creative director and basically bring this project to life, and I did. It was a beautiful space. I poured my heart and soul into it like I've never poured my heart and soul into anything, because it was sort of like this big thing that I didn't really feel like I could do, but then I did, and I pulled through, I pushed through, I did it. I actually pulled it off in like 3 months or 4 months. I got asked in December and we opened in April.
Yeah.
So it was just a really short turnaround, and it was something that I was really proud of. And we were open for like maybe 2 weeks, and then our investor decided to switch the locks on us and just take everything that we created for himself. And because we didn't have the proper business knowledge and the proper know-how, he was able to, basically swindle us and take advantage of us. And we're 3 young Black women who had never done anything like this before, and he knew it, and he took my work, and it crushed me like really bad.
I'm sorry, honey.
It's okay. It's just the first time I'm actually talking about it. And I didn't realize, I did realize how much it hurt, but I didn't realize how much it affected me creatively. I just felt like I had never really experienced such an evil thing.
Right.
And it woke me up to how I'd been living my life in this like naivety bubble, thinking that everyone's genuine and everyone's kind and everyone's good.
Right.
But that's not the case. And I'm really happy that I didn't let it taint my humanity in the way that I choose to see the world, because I still choose, despite that person and how evil they are, I still choose to see the world as a beautiful place filled with kind, genuine human beings, because that's what I want to attract into my life. And I'm so happy that I can actually talk about it now, because there was a time when I couldn't talk about this at all.
Yeah, I remember.
It's still hard, but I'm finally on the other side of that experience, and I can actually say the things, that experience didn't break me. It actually did make me stronger. It wizened me up for sure. It definitely wizened me up. And in the end, I was the person who created something really beautiful just because I can't see it anymore. And just because it was taken, from me in such a way doesn't mean that my brain didn't generate that, and that
Absolutely.
that my capabilities dwindled or anything like that. Actually, it made me realize how extremely talented and creative and capable I am. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that experience, and I'm even grateful for the way it turned out, because I'm able to have better discernment, and I'm
Discernment,
better
yes.
at, looking and judging a situation and knowing if I should go with it or back away. Because if I'm honest, that there was a lot of gut feelings that told me that that situation was not what it was appearing to be, And in the end, my gut was right. And now I trust it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I love that you're able to see the silver lining in such a horrible situation. And again, I'm really sorry you went through that. But I think stories like this are so important for entrepreneurs and creatives to hear because, they can avoid certain pitfalls that you have, or they can kind of discern better from hearing your story when they go to partner with someone. So, honestly, I do want to thank you for that, but I want to also pause and take a moment to acknowledge the things that you did in that space. Can we list them off and how that created a new branch of your business?
Yeah. Yeah. So my job for that space was to basically source all of the furniture and decorate it and um, make it inviting and pour my brain into it. And that's what I did. I sourced every stitch of furniture in there, whether it was online or whether it was at boutiques in Miami or thrift stores or whatever. I went and I did that. I put all of the plant fixings in there. We created a content studio in there, sourced all of the things for that as well. Art, all of the art. I was also up on a scissor lift to put like plants on the ceiling. Your brother actually came and spent like
Yes.
24 hours with me doing that. We stayed up all night finishing it. And the ceiling was amazing. It was
Gorgeous.
gorgeous. We put plants all over the ceiling. Oh my gosh. He was just such a good sport. I love you so much, Chris. um, it was just beautiful. The furniture was great, the chairs, everything that went into the office, light fixings, light fixtures, drew out pretty much everything where everything was supposed to go. I became a contractor.
A contractor, an interior
An interior
designer.
designer. I became a contractor, an interior designer, all of the things. And if you were there at the grand opening, then you know how beautiful it was and how amazing it was. But yeah, I did all of it.
Now, from that experience, you mentioned that this is partially what caused you to go into that deep depression and also the burnout that you were experiencing. Where then do you find the courage to lift yourself up and also decide, hey, this is no longer just a me venture. I want to bring on help.
Yeah, so I knew my friend Mila for a while. We've been friends for about 3 years or so. And when I was in that deep depression, I decided I was going to take the summer off from doing workshops last summer. Actually, this is not that long ago. This was last summer that I decided I'm not even going to be in Florida. I need to get away. So I ended up staying in New York for a long time with my friend Flo's at her parents' house. And I had workshops lined up already, planned, and I did not want to do them. And so I asked Mila to because she had expressed interest in helping out. So I asked her to do them, and I heard they went really well. You know, she was loved by all of the kids. She was a wonderful facilitator. And my wheels started turning, you know, because I was also thinking maybe this isn't for me anymore. Maybe I need to do something different. Maybe I even need to move away. Maybe I'm done with Florida.
Right. I remember that.
Yeah, I was just so hurt. So I was thinking of just like leaving, you know? So I had her do all of my other workshops because I was also already contracted to do all of these other workshops throughout the year. You know, people plan way in advance, especially when you're in the nonprofit world. So I introduced her to my other partners, and I said, hey, this is someone that I've just hired. She's going to be the workshop facilitator, and I'm, you know, doing this other venture because I had applied for a scholarship while I was away for the summer to do a boot camp to, you know, just venture into another career. So she agreed, they agreed, and there it was done. She was hired, you know, and she did a great job at facilitating my workshops for this past year. I'm so grateful because because she was doing my workshops, I was able to recuperate and rest and, you know, just like work my mind in other ways, and even imagine a new life for myself. Although I did not, in fact, move away. I did not, in fact, go fully into this new career because truth is, I love what I do so much that I would rather, you know, build that and use the skills that I gained through the boot camp to build out what I'm already doing rather than pursue that fully because and at the end of the day, I love what I do so much and I believe in what I do so much that I think it deserves my time, my energy, my effort, and my brain.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. That is a word for sure.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So we're all caught up on how everything started, how it grew, how you brought help on board. Now, tell me, what is your vision for a green community, the future of a green community?
Well, you know, my favorite thing to do is dream with you. So this is a great
Yes,
question.
you guys are getting insight on how we manifest.
It is. It's really the foundation of our friendship. So my vision for a green community is everything. I want it all. I want to fully express myself as an artist. And you saw that when you came to Planted Forward this year. Planted Forward is an event that I do in partnership with Westgate Community Farm twice a year. Now our next one is going to be in October. We don't have an exact date yet, but this event is something that we do to honor the community and the volunteers and the farmers and really just the land and just show respect and celebrate and appreciate all that Westgate is to the community around it and all that the community around it is to Westgate, you know? You saw the installation that I drew up. This was my first installation. This was my first time really like leaning heavily into my artistry. I've always known that I love to build things, you know? You heard that story about me being 3 years old and making a little table out of mud.
And also going to art school.
Yep. So I love building things and drawing things up, dreaming things up. My favorite thing to do is think of an idea and like bring it to fruition. Oh my goodness, it's the best thing ever.
It's a great feeling.
No feeling like that. So I drew up this installation that was really to honor the community that surrounds Westgate. The community around Westgate is a heavy Latinx and Haitian Caribbean community, and this installation was like a little casita, like a little
Mm-hmm.
home, kind of like the homes that we all grew up in. It was really supposed to resemble the just the homes that we've all grown up in, whether you're Latin, whether you're Caribbean, because we're really just like all one people, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful, you know. So leading into that was quite a treat. It was well received. People loved it. I want to partner with more urban farms to bring more events to those farms that honors their communities and engages the community in a really special way. I want to bring more installations to green spaces and create more green spaces as you know I do this work. I don't exactly know where and how quite yet because funding right now is scary for things like this. I want to work with more artists. I want to incorporate more of the wonderful souls that I know around me in my work. And I did that this year with Planted Forward. I had my really good friend Dakota come and do a sound healing session, working with other organizations like Tutti Frutti Skate, which is an organization that teaches kids, young adults, all sorts of things through skateboarding, especially body positivity, which I think is just like so special. Rohi's Readery, which is a revolutionary bookstore that everyone knows and loves. Shout out to Pranu, she's amazing. Working with La Chia Vegana, which is a beautiful vegan restaurant in Lake Worth. I actually helped decorate that store. Jen and I did a lot together. Shout out to her. I love her forever. So I just want to make sure that I'm able to, you know, host more events and do more for my community, introduce them to all of these things that I feel like we all deserve access to, you know, whether it's eating healthier, being more connected to nature, plant life, biophilic art,
Mm-hmm.
everything that I'm passionate about and that I think everyone can benefit from, you know. I want to work with the city more. We actually are part of this city initiative for Title I schools right now. A green community is to, you know, do workshops with the kids to introduce them to nature of you know like what I
Yeah.
do. I want to work with Quantum House more. Shout out to Quantum House, the children's hospital at St. Mary's Hospital.
Yes. Workshop coming up
A
soon.
workshop is happening literally in 2 days. It's Sunday, it's happening on Tuesday. So I want to work with them more. I just want to work with my community more and share my passion and myself and my soul with everyone around me because yeah, it's there's just so much love in here and there's so much love for what I do in here that I feel like, you know, if you're around me, if you're in a workshop, you feel it and you are
Mm.
inspired and you want to go out and, you know, touch grass.
No, so fun,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
Honestly, it's so fun. You feel like a kid again, especially going to the last event you had at the farm, um, Plant It Forward. I was so honored to be there and experience it for myself. Everyone was so amazing, all of the partners. It was great to be an attendee. I felt like a kid again, which any opportunity to do that, it feels amazing. So definitely love to see that you're looking to spread that joy and experience to so many people. Also, I love that you just shared your visions and dreams for a green community, for yourself as an entrepreneur and artist. And, you know, we don't have to know the how, where, or anything like that. We just have to go with the guide that is within us. As long as we know the what, everything else falls into place as we've kind of figured out through the story you've been telling us this entire time. So, with that being said, I love to introduce people to my friends that are entrepreneurs and artists to show that you can bring an idea from uh, concept to tangible in real life. And I started this as a way to have it as a accountability piece of like betting on myself as a creative. And I like to have people tell their stories about how they bet on themselves as creatives as well. So I want you to kind of give some advice to someone who is afraid to bet on themselves. Like, what would you say to them to give them a little bit of a push to go for it?
That's a really good question. And I love that you do that, because we all need to bet on ourselves, honestly. A little bit of advice on how to bet on yourself. Well, I am a really big believer in looking for the signs, because I do believe that universe, God, higher power does send you signs when you really want something, when you're really actively trying to manifest something. Try to get in tune with God to see like how the signs show up for you that you should how you should pursue a thing, or also write down your vision for what you want. I'm a creative visual like manifester. I like to envision exactly what I want it, how I feel about it, how it's going to make me feel when I get it, all of those
Mm,
things. And it's a great way to kind of gauge like, do I really want this thing? How do I feel when I actually get this thing? Did I feel
mm,
like amazing when I imagined getting it, or did I feel like a daunting feeling, or like so
right.
much fear, or maybe you don't really want it? I don't know. But those are some things that I do. Creative visualization helps me really gauge like how I feel about something truly, and then that informs how I decide to move towards that thing, or if I decide to move away from that thing. And journaling about what I want also is a way, like, like brain dumping. It really helps me put things into like perspective. There are some things that you don't really know until you start just talking to yourself, until you start having that back and forth dialogue. And the way that I do that is by journaling pretty much every day. And honestly, I'm I just am such a big advocate for going after the thing and doing the thing. I feel like we all have gifts to share, and we all are born with like these magical like orbs and light and inside of us. And if we feel inclined to share that in a way, then we should at least give it a try. Even if you keep your 9 to 5 while you're doing it to sustain yourself, like you have to at least try, because how will you know if you don't? and
Right.
and that's really the thing. That's really what keeps me going, because I don't ever want to live with regret. I don't ever want to think, what if I had done this, or what if I had done that. And I don't know, if you're a creative person, that's the worst thing to live with.
So definitely, thank you for that. I want to share part of the a tangible part of the podcast that is going to live, and I'll share it once it's all filled up. This is pretty much a creative journal for Muses and Bruises slash guest book. So all of the guests are going to sign it and give some advice of why it's important to bet on yourself. And once it's all filled up, I'll share it. But definitely, thank you for sharing your experience. Thank you for sharing your journey. Also, thank you for that little nugget of advice. Um, if you can just like reiterate why it is important to bet on yourself.
Yeah, it's important to bet on yourself, because the world deserves to experience your light and your gifts. I think we are all born with certain things that we're meant to share, you know, and some of us choose to, and the world is all the better for it.
Yeah.
I look at all of the art and the songs and the architecture, and I could go on and on. The biophilic art. I mean, I'm inspired on the daily when I just like walk around in the world. And that inspiration comes to me because someone else was inspired to share and do the things. So the world needs more of that.
Definitely.
Deserves more of that.
Thank you so much. Honestly, I want to open up the floor now. If there is anything additional you would like to share, tell people how they can find you, where they can find you.
Yes. So you guys can find me on my main platform, which is Instagram. You can follow me at the Green Goddess Diary. I post there mainly on my stories, but also on my timeline. I really love to share, you know, just like creatively. So you may see some things about biophilic art, about gardening, about a recipe, or it's just like satire that I'm creating. I don't know. I'm silly on there. Um, Also on TikTok, same handle, the Green Goddess Diary. I'm starting a Substack soon, the Green Goddess Diary. It's literally gonna be my diary.
Yeah.
So look out for that. And you can also visit my website, agreencommunityflorida.org, if you want to support my mission and what I do. You can also visit westgatecommunityfarm.org to come volunteer, do the things. Please be on the lookout for Planted Forward, October 2025. So just in a couple months, you look out for any workshops that I plan to do, and I do have some workshops up my sleeve that I will be announcing in August. So yeah, just stay tuned. Thank you all so much for receiving me. Thank you, Jen, for creating this wonderful platform and having folks like myself on. You're doing such a beautiful, wonderful, like super freaking amazing thing. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And it was only right that you're my first guest. I just want to share everything that you're doing and let the world get to know you a little bit better, and the fairy behind the Green Goddess Diary and where the passion comes from. So I'm so glad that we got to share a lot more of that today. So that concludes this episode of Muses and Bruises. Don't forget to teach your light, be a lighthouse to someone, share what it is that you have in your heart, be creative, even if it's just for yourself or someone that your kids, your sister, your mom, whoever. Just be a lighthouse somehow, some way. I think if we did that a little bit more every day, the world would be a better place. As Pollyanna as that sounds, we need more positivity and more light, and art is actually what gets us through the hard times. So again, it's your friend Jen Loren, and this is Muses and Bruises podcast. Until next time, bye.
Bye. Love you.
Love you too.